All right, welcome back. Today we're talking about exploring the stereo shape with the Stereoizer effect. Guys, welcome back again. Justin Blends, let's do it, winning with blends. Okay, so FL Studio Mobile has a few different ways that you can address your stereo shape. Some of us are familiar with the stereo shaper in FL Studio. Now in the mobile, we do have a couple of great options. So what we have is two different ways with the Stereoizer to achieve different types of delays, okay? So what we have is essentially the first is the phase-based Stereoizer, which is focused on strength, timbre, and focus, as you see right here, okay? We have the strength, we have the timbre, we have the focus, and you see left and right delay is at 0 and pan is at 0. So we're essentially disabling those two functions, and I'll explain why as I continue, right? And then we also have the delay-based effect, which is more like the Haas effect. Let me go over to that as well. I'll show you right here. So you'll notice there's something different down here. It's just I've got the analyzer in two different settings, and I'll explain in a moment. So for the delay-based, we've got strength down to 0, timbre down to 0, and focus at 0. What we're going to focus on to achieve the Haas effect would be the left and right delay. And also, just to be clear, the pan over here is just, let's say, a basic or standard panning control, okay? So we're not going to use this too much. We may touch it, but really it's just a standard pan control. The main focus is left and right with everything else at 0 is how you can create that Haas effect. And guys, let me ask you, are you guys familiar with the precedence effect? Are you familiar with the precedence effect? Precedence as in priority based on something that has come before in position, perhaps in order or in time. The Haas effect is often equated with the precedence effect. Essentially what that means is it could be something that we call the law of the first wave front, okay? What this means is we perceive sounds, and as long as if there's an echo or some type of delay in that sound or a reflection, an echo, as long as that lands within roughly 30 milliseconds and it could even be louder than the original sound, as long as it comes back to us within a fraction of a second, it feels as though it's still one event, one sound event, or one auditory event, okay? So the Haas effect, quite simply, is a way to separate. It's a form of delay. It's just a reflection, a delay, separating the sound so that you can hear one, and then the reflection is happening closely thereafter. So it feels like it's still just one sound event. Let's get into these sounds. Now, as you see, all I've got right here running through is a drum track, the simplest drum track right now. And I've got a list of sounds. None of them are currently playing. You can see them, the levels are moving, but none of them are playing because I don't have their channels turned on. As you can see, they're both sent to the Stereoizer delay and the Stereoizer Fade auxiliary channels. And I did this so that we could separate the two. As you see, I've got Stereoizer here, and I've got it set up at 0 because I'm looking to do a stereo delay Haas type of effect, okay? And we'll get into this in a moment. And then we've got the phase part where the left and right is at 0. So, you know, what would be useful is if this was separate in a way that would give you the understanding that the left and right delay on its own with everything at 0 is a great way to achieve the Haas effect. Let's go in. I'm going to turn on one, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's start with phase, okay? And I chose these particular sounds for a very clear reason, right? I wanted sounds that were strong. I wanted sounds that could represent themselves really well as I adjusted these parameters specifically for this demonstration, okay? So I have the strength all the way up. And as you see, I'm going to adjust the timbre, okay? Timbre adjusts, it changes the sound of the stereo. Take a listen, guys. I hope you've got headphones, please do, right? You can already tell. What I did was I let the drums come through raw, straight into unprocessed, straight to the master, as you see down here. And then I let every other sound come through either the phase delay. Well, they're both the same delay. I just separated it so I can make it super clear. The phase-based delay and the stereo delay auxiliary sends. So each of these goes to the same, and you see that the master is off. Okay, it's completely off. I can actually go and click X on them and they won't go to the master, but for now we'll leave it like that. Okay, just quickly showing you, all of them are sent to the same 2 channels for processing. And right now what we have is one channel, the phase-based one. So let's go through and look at these functions here. Stereo, the parameters that we can adjust. Strength, adjusts the strength of the stereo effect. Timbre changes the stereo sound, as you hear. And the focus is adjusting the frequency range that is most affected. Okay. Okay, that's it. That for that. And remember, I have this on every single sound for the reason, okay, for the purposes of showing the demonstration and how it can affect the entire mix. And of course, you can pan left and right, but now I'm panning everything to the left except for the drums, and everything to the right except for the drums again, just for the purposes of the demonstration. Let's bring that out and get the drums back in. So now what we're going to do is get more into the Haas effect, okay? This is when we're looking at, it's a binaural psychoacoustical effect. And simply what that means is based on perceiving sound with 2 ears, okay? Psychoacoustics is a scientific study of sound perception, okay, and our psychological response to sound. It's the human auditory experience. So what I have here on this other channel is much of the same, stereoizer, everything set to 0, and we're going to work with the delay. But what I have for the analyzer this time is the stereo width. I could have done that with the other. I just was also focusing on frequency, okay, because the timbre adjusts the focus adjusts the frequency that is most affected, and the timbre adjusts the sound of the effect. So I figured having a little bit more of a focus on the spectrum would suit my purposes. But I could also go to stereo as I maneuver this around. I just may not see as many changes based on what I'm looking for, okay? So let's go back to the other channel, the delay. It's the same stereoizer effect with strength, timbre, and focus set to 0. And now what we have is the ability to create a Haas effect. Okay, so we're delaying the left side more as we pull it down to the left, which means that the sounds are going to hit or be present in the right sooner than the left, and vice versa. So if I were to roll this all the way to the right, we would be getting the sounds hitting in the left before they hit in the right. Now, what I also did was I went to settings within the analyzer and I adjusted the reactivity to slow. Now, I did that because I wanted to more clearly see where the sound was more heavily focused, essentially. And I figured that the lighter, the slower response time would give me a chance to really catch up and see what footprint is being left behind. That's just one way you can use these tools, right? Now you can do, of course, again, the same idea. You can adjust the percentage as well as the overall pan to find the balance that you wish. And it's up to you to determine just what fits. Guys, thank you so much for checking this one out. Whew. All right, Stereoizer effect. It's got some real cool functionality, guys. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you've been into. And of course, subscribe to the channel. All the goodness, all the best to you all. Until next time, take it easy.